days. And, as I'd soon learned from my seasoned neighbors, that's exactly the way lookouts wanted it. Few longed for days away from the watch. Most lookouts hoped for an early start in April and a late season extension into October. If they could, some hardcore types would probably work straight through the winter. I had catapulted myself into a culture of vigilance that bordered on obsession. Though the backgrounds of lookouts varied, former lawyers, bankers, butchers, healthcare workers, teachers, trappers, and artists had come to the profession. There was a shared commitment to observation among them that ran deep, an expertise that was earned with the accumulation of days and seasons. Only days earlier at my orientation, I'd felt the experienced lookout's skepticism of me, a fledgling rookie, totally unaware of what lay ahead in her first season. I didn't blame them. I was skeptical too. The immense responsibility stretched out in the blue swell of distance. My heart flapped wildly like a hooked trout. It occurred to me that the fire tower might be one of the last places on the Earth's surface where one can experience the physical reality of being entirely isolated from other people, a sensation that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Would I be capable of enduring the summer? To my south, a single white shoelace danced and undulated above the treetops. I focused my binoculars on the floating ribbon and saw that it was a group or hedge of trumpeter swans. The white-winged migrants were flying home to their breeding ponds in the boreal forests of northwestern Alberta, or as far north as the high Arctic. I'd come home too, to the place where I spent my childhood in the Peace River country, on Treaty 8 lands, traditional territories of the Beaver, Dene, Cree, and Métis peoples. After years away, I'd return to find work and support my fiancé's immigration from Uganda. The lookout job offered a stable, seasonal work opportunity, but the reasons for my return proved more complicated than love and financial security. It would take several years for me to understand what really brought me back to the north, what it means to be a lookout, and how life at the fire tower would change me irrevocably. I grew up in northern Alberta, only a few hundred meters from the banks of the Peace River, a 1,923-kilometer river that originates in the Rocky Mountains of northern British Columbia. Wide and brown, the Peace flows northeast across Alberta to join the Athabasca River and form the Peace-Athabasca Delta. As a young girl, I played in the willows and dogwood that sprang up along the riverbanks and went searching for agates and pieces of driftwood that reminded me of the wild creatures I was fascinated by. Wolves, elk, bears, moose, and caribou. My father, a wildlife biologist, studied these animals and advocated for protecting their habitats and populations against the rapid growth of farming, logging, and oil and gas exploits. I was enamored of my dad's work as a biologist and his adventures in the Boreal forest. He and my mother, a social worker, raised my older brother Brendan and me close to nature, camping, canoeing, hiking, fishing, and hunting. The forest was sacred text they showed us how to read and love. My dad taught me everything he taught my older brother: how to track prey, pull the trigger, dress a grouse. We baited lines and cast and waited. He pointed out the bald eagles that plunged and skimmed the surface of the lake, talons opening and clenching, sometimes around a fish, sometimes just air. Fishing wasn't necessarily about catching fish. It was about waiting and witnessing everything else you couldn't have anticipated. A cow and moose calf emerging from the bush, a lone raven speaking an old language of throat croaks and clicks that sounded of equal parts mischief and grief. We witnessed the wild, the nothingness, and the everythingness, with all of our senses. Every winter when snow carpeted the earth, my dad flew in 4-seater Cessna airplanes over the forest, surveying wildlife populations. On his maps, he showed me networks of red fire towers positioned throughout the Boreal. I traced my finger over the towers scattered across the map, counting over 100 of them. During the summers, my dad and his research colleagues often landed on the airstrips adjacent to fire towers to fuel the plane. He remembers being invited in for a cup of coffee by the company-starved souls who staffed the towers. Who were these people? I'd wondered.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.